The Incizo 5-in-1 molding profile is one of the most innovative approaches to finishing a floor on the market today. It features a single piece of molding that can be used for all your flooring transition needs. The cutting tool, which is included in the package, alters the profile to allow the molding to work as a transition from floor to floor, floor to wall, and to finished stairs. Learning to use this molding correctly will save you precious time on the job site. In this video, we're going to show you how to efficiently use the Incizo 5-in-1 profile to finish laminate stairs. Before you begin, make sure you have the proper equipment necessary for installation. These are materials that you normally carry to a job site. Also make sure you have the correct supplies for finishing stairs. These include the laminate flooring your client has selected to cover the stairs, the coordinating Incizo 5-in-1 molding, the appropriate aluminum subprofile. This will be used to attach the molding to the stair. The subprofile comes in thicknesses that are floor specific, so make sure you have the correct thickness for your floor. 2mm shims, polyurethane construction adhesive. It is key to use this type of adhesive as latex will not bond properly. 100% clear silicone, blue tape for securing the stair nose during curing, traditional overlap stair nose for finishing the top step, finishing putty to cover any exposed screws, and touch-up markers or pens to cover any blemish. Before you begin, take a few moments to inspect the stairs to make sure they meet all the local building codes and you're able to install the product properly. Not every stairway is a good candidate for laminate. Often complex stairs with spirals or unusual steps are better candidates for other solutions. With the inspection complete, you'll want to prep the stairs by removing any old carpet or other coverings. Make sure the area is free of worn treads, existing glues, and debris. With the stairs prepped, you're ready to identify the type of stair installation you'll be doing and begin the project. Most US homes have either boxed or open stairs with a full reveal on the tread. We'll demonstrate a flush mount application with boxed stairs. Most applications will either feature a matching laminate tread and riser or a laminate tread with a painted riser. We'll be doing a laminate tread and riser for this installation. If your client opts for a painted riser, paint the riser prior to tread installation. Whether you start from the top of the staircase or the bottom depends upon your personal preference, but a good rule of thumb is begin the basement stair at the bottom step and the second floor at the top. For today's application, we'll install from the bottom, beginning with the base riser of the bottom stair. We'll take measurements of the height and width of the riser. Keep in mind that stair measurements can differ greatly, so we'll take our measurements at both the top and bottom of each stair. Transfer those measurements to the riser plank and cut on a power miter saw. We'll demonstrate the proper cutting technique later as we demonstrate the installation of the subprofile and tread. Dry fit the base riser and apply construction adhesive in an S pattern to the back of the plank before adhering it to the stair. To prevent the riser from slipping, apply two 18-gauge brad nails to the corners of the plank. They'll be hidden by the stair nose. With the base riser in place, we're ready to install the subprofile on the stair tread. We'll take the interior measurements of the stair and mark and cut the metal subprofile to the correct width. For our installation, we're using a power miter saw with a polycrystalline diamond tip blade designed specifically for cutting laminate floor. You can also use a carbide tip blade, but remember, we're looking for a smooth cut. Don't forget to wear protective eyewear and gloves when working with these tools and handling the cut edge of the aluminum subprofile. Drill and countersink holes every 5 inches apart in the subprofile. We recommend using a 9/64 bit for drilling. Install the aluminum subprofile on the tread with polyurethane adhesive and screws. Add the glue in two distinct areas, in a straight line along the inside corner of the profile, and in an S pattern along the back. We're applying adhesive generously to the inside corner of the gap between the square edge of the profile and the round stair nose, allowing the profile to affix to the stairs. Install the profile and secure it with number 6 inch or 1.25" wood screws to ensure that it's stable. We'll place 2mm shims on the tread perpendicular to the profile. These shims help raise the plank to the same height as the aluminum subprofile, keeping the plank flat and supporting the step. They will also contain the glue, eliminating any squeeze out and creating good legs for the adhesive. With the shims in place, we'll go ahead and take our interior measurements so we can install our planks. Because of the depth of the tread, we will need to use 2 planks clicked together to form our stair tread. Again, we'll measure the length of the stair at both the front and the back to account for stairs that are out of square. Cut the tongue off the short side of the plank, then transfer the measurement to the board and cut to length. When cutting laminate flooring, always cut with the face side up to minimize chipping. Dry fit the board to the aluminum subprofile. It's important to fit the tongue of the plank into the locator ridge of the subprofile. Make sure that the plank fits along the tread but is not too snug. A snug plank will rise in front, making it impossible to add the Incizo molding. With the first plank in place, add two 2mm shims to the back of the tread and take a measurement from the front of the plank to the shims. The shims will allow for a 3/16 gap toward the back of the step. We'll use this area later to help secure the floor. Transfer the width measurement to the second tread plank. We're going to rip this plank on the table saw. When ripping, we'll cut away the groove, leaving the tongue intact. Cut this plank to length in the same manner as previously shown. Remove the first plank from the stair, click the ripped piece into the full plank, and test fit. Then glue the planks to the tread. Apply adhesive to the tread in aluminum subprofile in an S pattern, taking care not to cover the shims. Use a putty knife to spread the glue on the subprofile. Install the planks on the tread. Now we'll cut and fit the 5-in-1 molding. Take a measurement and transfer it to the Incizo molding. Cut to fit the length of the stair and test fit. We'll be using the entire profile of the 5-in-1 for this particular application. Apply the polyurethane adhesive to both V-grooves in the transition. Then add silicone to the square tongue channel of the molding. Use your finger to evenly spread the silicone in the channel. Lightly tap the 5-in-1 into place with the heel of your hand. Once in place, use a rubber mallet and tapping block to firmly secure it. When using a mallet, take care not to fracture the outer wrap of the molding. Clean away any excess silicone that may have squeezed out during the application and secure the nosing with blue tape. This will help hold the materials in place until the glue is dry. As you proceed through the job, review the completed steps to ensure that stairs haven't shifted during installation. With the tread and stair nose in place, it's time to cut and fit the riser for the next stair. Take the appropriate measurements at both the top and bottom of the stair and transfer them to the plank. We're going to rip this plank on a table saw, cutting away the tongue and leaving the groove intact. Mark and cut the width using the same process we've used previously. Test fit to ensure that the groove on the riser fits into the 3/16 gap left on the tread. Use the same S pattern to apply the glue to the back of the plank and slide the lower extended groove into the 3/16 gap. For additional stability, place 18-gauge brad nails in the upper corners of the plank. Continue this process for the remaining steps until you've reached the top stair. The top stair will be finished with a traditional overlap stair nose. This application demonstrates a floating floor installation, and an overlap stair nose will allow for the necessary expansion gap required for floating floors. Measure the width and height of the riser, making sure that the bottom of the riser fits into the 3/16 gap in the tread, and the top is flush with the primary subfloor. Apply the measurements to a flooring plank and use the same cutting procedure as before, taking care to leave the groove side of the plank intact. Test fit the riser, add glue in an S pattern, and slide it into the gap, pressing to adhere the plank. Apply a brad nail to each corner to ensure security. Take an interior measurement from wall to wall at the top of the riser. Transfer that measurement to the stair nose and the supporting shim. The stair nose comes with both 2mm and 4mm shims. It's important to use the shims to keep the transition between the floor and the stair nose flat. Cut and fit the molding in shims. Apply adhesive to the floor and put the shim in place. Add an additional layer of glue on top of the shim and install the stair nose. It's important to note that when applying adhesive, no glue touches the floating floor or seeps into the expansion gap. Press the stair nose in place and finish the installation by drilling, countersinking, and screwing in the molding. Cover the screw heads with a color-coordinated putty. Remember, the installation of a smooth, flat transition is key to the safety of the step. For best results, we recommend limiting traffic on stairs for 24 hours after installation. There are several variations on installation depending upon what type of stairway you're covering. Open stairs require additional preparation on the exposed end to create a finished look. For today's installation, we've opted to demonstrate the process with stairs that feature stringers and an open bottom step. In addition, these stairs feature a painted riser in lieu of laminate. We began the application by adding treads to the top stairs. We'll complete the install by finishing the bottom stair. Before we begin, we'll need to determine whether to cap the bottom riser on the front or on the side. The location of the cap selected may depend upon client preference. Wherever the cap is placed will determine how we finish the bottom riser. Today, we're adding the cap to the side of the base riser. We'll measure and mark both height and width of the riser. Cut the plank to size, ensuring all tongues and grooves have been removed. Once we determine the fit is good, we'll glue the plank, apply to the base riser, and secure with brad nails. We approach the front riser in the same way, again measuring height and width at both ends of the stair to account for uneven stairs. We'll cut the board to ensure that it's flush with the end plank. After cutting, test fit and glue the board, adding brad nails for security. Finally, we'll measure the riser on the return and repeat the process. Cap the corners of the base riser using our 5-in-1 molding. Measure the riser height and cut 2 similar pieces of molding to cover the exposed edges. We're going to convert the Incizo to a T-molding by using the cutting tool. Use gloves and safety glasses for this process and sand the edges of the Incizo. Repeat the cut on the other side of the molding to create a T. Using a utility knife, cut away the spine to create end caps. Apply glue to the cap and place on the corners. To complete the bottom riser, make sure that the caps are properly aligned and secure them with tape. Before we address the tread, undercut the stringer if necessary. Pre-cut the sub-profile with a 45-degree inside angle at least 2 inches longer than the step. With the angled edge touching the inside stringer, measure out 1/4 of an inch past the stair and mark and cut the aluminum sub-profile. Pre-cut a 45-degree angle into the sub-profile for the end to complement the front sub-profile. Measure and cut the sub-profile approximately 1/4 of an inch shorter than the back of the tread. Test fit the sub-profiles, then drill and countersink the pilot holes every 5 inches. To ensure the sub-profiles are perfectly square, place 2 shims on the tread and use a piece of scrap laminate as a guide or template. Keep in mind that you'll need a tongue on 2 sides of the plank to fit into the sub-profile ridges. Apply glue to both pieces of the sub-profile and lay them on the tread, using the guide to square up the edge. Add screws to both profiles on either side of the guide. Once in place, remove the guide and continue to secure the screws. Insert shims and use the guide to measure the length of the tread. Transfer the measurement and cut 2 planks the same length. Fit the first plank on the front profile and take measurements for both the open end of the stair and the interior. To measure the open end of the stair, you'll need to hold a scrap piece of Incizo square to the return and measure from the Incizo to the decor end of the plank. Use a speed square to keep the measurement level. The next measurement will be taken from the decor end of the plank to the interior of the stair. Because we're finishing stairs with painted risers, we'll need to measure directly to the riser wall. There will be no gap between the plank on the tread and the riser. Remove the first board and place the second plank on the riser. Slide the plank to the back of the tread, flush with the riser, and mark the location of the stringer. Use a speed square to extend the mark all the way across the board. Based on the measurements you took on the tread, create an L-shaped board that will fit on the tread flush to the back of the riser. Click the planks together and test fit. Apply glue to the tread and sub-profile and place the planks on the tread. We'll complete the stair by adding Incizo to the sub-profile. Cut a 45-degree angle on a scrap of Incizo. This will be used to help test fit our molding. Begin on the stair front. Cut a piece of molding with a 45-degree angle that is at least 2 inches longer than the sub-profile. Hold the decorated side of the molding to the sub-profile and the 45-degree angle toward the wall or stringer. Mark the length of the front molding and cut to a 90-degree angle. Test fit and glue the molding by placing glue in the grooves of the Incizo and silicone in the square channel of the molding. Apply the molding to the sub-profile using a scrap piece as a guide to make a square corner. Tap the molding securely in place. Wipe away any excess silicone and tape the molding. Using an additional piece of Incizo, cut the end molding to a 45-degree angle, making sure that the end is at least 2 inches longer than the tread. Fit the mitered corners together and measure the molding to the end of the tread. Using the mark as a guide, miter the end molding to a 45-degree angle. Test fit the molding and glue it in place with construction adhesive and silicone. Tap securely into place and tape the molding. Repeating the measuring process used on the front side of the tread, fit a third piece of Incizo molding to cover the return. Since there is no sub-profile on the stair return, you will need to glue the Incizo directly to the tread. Glue with a combination of construction adhesive and hot glue to ensure that the molding stays in place. If you don't use hot glue, you'll need to secure the molding with tape until dry. Concrete steps generally require more extensive prep work, and a level stair is extremely important. Once you have a clean level step, you want to measure and cut your sub-profile. Glue the sub-profile to the concrete tread and let cure overnight. Consult the glue manufacturer for recommended curing times, as some adhesives may require a longer curing process. Once the glue is secure, you may continue with the flush mount application we discussed earlier. For questions or more information, contact Technical Services at 888-387-9882.